Hello everybody and welcome back to the pYanodons playthrough, Fantastic Mr. Ghost. I went ahead and rebuilt this massive wood build here. And let me tell you, it was a fun little project. But first, last episode, I spun up these crazy little Zyhifo MK02s. And then the Naven MK02s. It was really nice because I already had this set up and ready. Just needed the Zyhifo MK02s. And that's all I had time for last episode because oh boy, there's so much to do. Over here at the seaweed build, I added 2 more limestone producers to the build. I was hoping it'd be only 1, but it's 2, and I put efficiency modules in those extractors. So now our max rate calculator shows all good numbers. Well, this monster got out of control. I rebuilt the wood build now. This is wood build number 2 of 1, and the whole purpose of this wood build was to do the basic substrate. I was having problems with that, rightfully so, because the zippers use the basic substrate. So this build was mainly for wood and also the basic substrate. And let me tell you, when I upgraded the fastwood forestries to MK03 trees, as well as the MK02 fastwood forestry, the muddy sludge requirement went crazy through the roof. I can also support 5 red belts of wood. And here's the basic substrate build that I added to this build here. It made sense to put it right next to the wood build because this thing chews up a lot of wood. So sodium hydroxide is pretty easy to get here, as well as the incubated petri dishes. That brings me to wood build number 1. This is where it all began when I started doing trains. And this build here is dedicated to the treated wood. This build has been around, let me tell you, and it really needed a rework. I had to curve the rail down because the soil extractors and the muddy sludge build here was running into the acetylene build. So I had to completely rip it up and redo it, which is fine because I've been meaning to do this for a while. The first one I redid, which was wood number 2, the water could not get all the way down. And the tricky part is using Hellmod to get the machines and then using max rate calculator to determine if you have enough of the machines to provide the resources. I used the compute by factory feature here, and I started out with the 10 fastwood forestries that I have and worked backwards. Now, Hellmod is nice because it tells you how many pipes or belts that are coming out of a build. So you have to kind of jostle things around in order to get it to how many machines do I need for a certain belt speed or a certain amount of pipe. And this was the tricky part, the pipes. Belt is easy. You look at it, it says 30. Well, pipe is like 100, and it calculates it pretty well here. As you can see, it's almost 3 pipes of water just to feed this whole build. And this is the entire build, including the moss. So that's where it gets tricky because of the pipe dynamics or the fluid dynamics in the game. Now I have a technology upgrade here, and they updated the way these are inserted now. It used to be you'd have a recipe, but it just Hellmod didn't know how to resolve it. So now they have a module that you plug in here. So I think this is the way you do it. I'm going to try and experiment with a little more. The problem is it takes one of your modules out in order to insert this quote-unquote module. So as you can see, the energy consumption goes down, speed goes up. And this is it adds ash to the recipe. I think it increases the ash consumption for this technology upgrade. I'd have to look at it. So I was using Hellmod max rate calculator to try and determine what I needed for this build, for the upgrade. As I stated, the water up here, I had 5 extractors for all these soil extractors here, or pump jacks for water. I had to add these 2 pump jacks down here in order to get the water to kind of meet down here. So I rebuilt this entire soil extractor build here. The washers don't require much water, so I was able to keep 3 up top here, and it works fine. The muddy sludge output is like a half of a pipe, so this part was not bad. It's the soil extractors that are just hungry for water, which is, the way it is. I decided to leave these moss generators here. I do have a better recipe set up for the whole base, but I didn't want to do too much change to this. I could just bring the moss in directly, but I kind of like it being on site. The only issue here is that it's going to consume more stone than the other moss generators. And as I stated here, I have 10 fastwood forestries for a total of 5 red belts of wood. A while ago, I was chopping some trees down and I had some extra wood in my inventory, so I went ahead and tossed it into a composter. And I was shocked at how much biomass you get from these. Biomass to carbon dioxide is amazing. Now, I was having problems feeding these fastwood forestries with carbon dioxide. Trains just can't keep up with this amount. So I decided, hey, why don't I just use the wood for carbon dioxide and feed it right back to the trees? And this is working really well. It actually keeps up with this build now. So a little bit of wood for carbon dioxide and less train traffic. I'm all for that. The amount of ash I need for this is insane. So let's get it started up. And there we go. Plenty of ash to go around. Holy cripes. 4,000. Now this thing can, it does, look how fast this thing is. This is insane. So you can see why this thing can eat ash like fast. So I hope I have enough ash for acid gas after this stuff starts to spin up. Now I'm using this case here. I like mini loaders because you don't need to use, you know, belt balancers and things. These are great because I can have an odd number of inputs or outputs. In this case, I have, 5 belts of soil, and it outputs, obviously, 5 belts, too. You know, using balancers they're so much bigger. There's so many materials involved in that, splitters and undergrounds and all that. So I like using the case, you know, mini loaders to case input-output. It works really well. I have 2 wood processing units on wood red belts. As you can see, it's not a full red belt. But, you know, if you put 3 on it, it's going to overdrive it. And as you can see, the last fast wood forestry here, it's getting the carbon dioxide. It's taken a bit, but once this all buffers up and I have enough carbon dioxide in that tank, it should start to level out. In fact, it looks like it's leveling out a little bit now. So this moss build here produces 8.3 moss a second, I think. And the sapling generators here require 14, so I'm deficient on my moss now. So I think what I'm going to do is cut the stone off and bring the moss in after all. And that's an easy update. All I got to do is bleed this out and then switch it to moss. Here's the moss build that I upgraded a long time ago. It uses the coarse faction recipe. And this took a while to unlock in the research tech tree. It uses the iron rods, makes coarse faction, and your yield goes way up, which is really nice. So I have this running right here, and I have plenty of moss. I might have to run over here and refactor this as well and redo the stops because I'd like to get faster loading here. Alright, I am surrounded by machines once again. Alright, we're going to work on okay, we're moving towards Arqad MK02s. Those are the big hitters. The bees are killing me, man. Bees, the venom, you know. And so we gotta get the MK02 Arqads in there. That whole build that I have, I'll have to expand it and all this good stuff once I get to a certain point. But yeah, the venom is so slow, and I'm not producing enough bees to begin with. So we need to get that going. Also, I might be looking into another recipe if we have one to create more bees, for rendering, that is. So I've been storyboarding this crap here as promised, and it's a doozy. It is a doozy. So last episode I was looking at this, and then I noticed the mutant enzyme barrel. And it's easy to kind of not look at that because it's a barrel and not an actual ingredient. And then when I looked at it, I go, oh my god, this is an insane thing. So I have this here storyboarded. And now this is just the spin up to get the MK02, the chance. So after this, hopefully we can, get a regenerative, where we create something, like an MK02 creates a whatever, like the spin ups for the Zyhafos and all these other ones. Once you get that MK02, then it's just a cycle, So, and I hope we don't need any. It looks like we don't need any MK01 Arqads for this process. All we need are maggots, and the maggots are in the B location. So I might train bees over here temporarily to keep this process in the biohub is what I'm thinking. So this mutant enzyme barrel, it's gonna take a while to get this thing. Here is the mutant enzymes, so we barrel this up. And we need the propeptides, calmodulin, I think is how that's pronounced, the binding mutant peptide, and chimeric proteins. The rub here is the dingrit spike. So we need to, or I need to, spin up a dingrit and then render it. And here it is. So we also get a pelt out of this, and I think that's used for something else later on. We'll stockpile the pelt and the spike, obviously, for later use, but we need the spike for the Arqad spin-up. And now we have the I think it's calmodin, so I'll have to look that up on Google as a pronunciation. I forgot to do that. And now we need pineal gland. I think it's pineal gland and a bodos. I haven't spun up the bodos yet, but I will. And then, and it's funny because the plants are ones that I just forget about. So when I see them, I just go ahead and start spinning them up. I'll show you what I got for the spin up once I do that. And then we have these magnetic beads. That's right here in the molecular assembler. And I have everything here. The agar is not too bad, so I'll be able to do these. There's 8 recipes that use these beads. This is the one we're going to be doing. And then we have the chimeric proteins, which is the machine just below the or right next to the magnetic beads there. And I don't have the ethylene glycol on the train network, but it's not like I can't do it. But from what I remember, it's kind of a tricky little process, so I'll have to look at that again. I have retrovirus ethanol and everything else. So the chimeric proteins won't be a problem. So again, the chimeric proteins, this is what we have here in this machine. And so I'll most likely produce the magnetic beads, and then I'll train them around, because we're going to need them later on anyway. So getting back to the pineal gland, this is where the Scrondrix comes in. So we render this, and we get the pineal gland. Everything else can be sent to the body parts reclamation area. All right, so what's left is the iron-enriched moondrop flower. Okay, let's get on that. Well, looky here. I was crafting this thing. I was having a lot of fun building this, and I haven't had the moondrop set up since I moved everything up here. I used to have the old 1.0 hub, I guess I can call it, and the moondrops were shut down, and I didn't have them running. Now I need the iron-enriched moondrop here for the Arqad's MK02 spin-up. I looked, and we don't need the iron-enriched moondrop, but for 2 things. The Arqad bees, MK02, and then eventually we unlock the MK03 Faugway mushrooms. It might use the enriched moondrop flower. Let me check. Oh, I was right. Yeah, it's only the Arqad MK02 in this case. The iron-enriched biomass is what we're going to produce to get the iron-enriched moondrop flower. So this is a cool process. I want to try this out eventually. We can create iron ore from this stuff here, and I think it's it's an interesting process. I definitely want to try it. Now here's the iron-enriched moondrop flower, which we use for the Arqad MK02s. And here is the Faugway. So I'm going to leave this here set up, because we might need the MK02 Arqads for the MK03s, or, you know, just making a bigger build. I'm going to need them to be spun up, you know, constantly. So this system will stay in place here. So what I have here is the MK02 and the regular moondrop production. So let's go back in time and look at the moondrops. Way back, I spun these up to get the not so simple circuits, I call them, but the simple circuits, and we needed the methane from it. The petri dish isn't tough to make, but the codex, let's see what that is. Ah, air core inductors, glass, and tin cable. So this is not too tricky to spin up. And, you know, once you get a couple of these, you start your module process. When you spin these up, I think, I'm not sure how many you need to start it up, but this spins up. It's very slow in the beginning game, of course, because the recipe is very slow. As you can see, it's 5, I think, craft. I think it's a 5 craft, 5 seconds. The yield is from the seed part, where you take the moondrops and create the seeds. In order to get the moondrop MK02s, it's a little more involved, and it's a chance to get. So usually the MK02s are like, you know, you have to wait to get that better version of that plant. just like all the other animals and things. So this isn't too bad, just hydrogen, fertilizer, and all that. In fact, I remember I had to spin up and build the fertilizer build just for this thing. That was the first time I built it. Now, once you get your MK02 Moondrop Chance, then you can start to create the MK02 seeds. And now we need decadin, or it's decalin. Yeah, decalin. So ash, fertilizer, MK02 seeds, hydrogen, and decalin. The botanical nursery just takes the moondrops and converts them into seeds, and you get a kick out of moondrop MK02s as well. So you build up your yield here. Now it kicks out MK01 seeds and moondrops. So that's why I built this thing together. I created a lot of moondrop seeds. I don't know why, but I have a lot of extras. So I'm hoping to get this MK02 process running again. Right now I'm backed up on the seeds, and I want to consume them in the next process here. This machine right here creates the methane, and you need fertilizer, moondrop seeds only, and water. It generates 80 methane. So this is where I hope to consume the extra seeds I made. And now we have the iron-enriched moondrop. This consumes 10 seeds and the iron-enriched biomass along with methane. So this will be a big consumer of these extra seeds I have. And here's the iron-enriched biomass. And it uses Yotoi aloe seeds, or plants, I think. And it uses the Yotoi aloe tailings and chelators. So I piped the chelators over, and I think I'm going to I have the tailings in barrels. But I got to get that over here. I didn't want to start this up until I was recording. I'm barreling the tailings, so I'll just bot it over. And now we have Yotoi aloe being converted into the iron enriched. Oh, I finally was able to get around to the Yotoi MK02. Look at all the modules this thing takes. And it's still slow. And there we go. Holy cow, this is slow. Forgot to set up a case for these little guys. I'll let this case fill up a little bit with the moondrops. I might uncap it, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, one down. Well, kind of one to go because I already have the maggots. Now it's time for these Scrondrix. And as you can see, we need lizard DNA, roadrunner DNA samples, and then a Scrondrix codex. Oh, and an Arthurian egg. Luckily, I have those now. And then we also need fetal serum and artificial blood. These are done in a creature chamber, but we need the codexes first. As you can see, I'm over here by the data array area that I set up. I don't automate this because I don't need these as production. I just have to run around a little bit, you know, get the materials, put them in here. It's not like I do this every day, so I don't feel the need to automate this. But it is kind of semi-automated. The Roadrunner DNA requires the chemical science pack and the lizard DNA as well. So you can see I have a codex in here already. I was going to make the Scrondrix codex, and then I looked at this recipe, and I noticed that we need phosphate glass. I'm like, are you kidding me? So here it is. Now, I have all the ingredients here, which is great. I don't have the sodium sulfate, but I can basically just ferry it to a temporary build of this. I don't need that many of these. So it looks like the phosphate glass is used in a lot of codexes that we're going to be doing later, and also machinery and some other items too. 75, you know, of course, here. Oh boy, Dilmo pool, 35. So maybe I will make this into a production item. And then we also have the Dingrit codex. It takes 2 only. Everything else is pretty high-end, you know, level 3 and level 4 machines going forward. So I think I'll just do a little bootstrap of this, and I'll get it on a train. All right, folks, I'm ready to make some phosphate glass here. I went ahead and did this build. I'm not expecting, you know, a crazy amount of production here. This is just to get our, you know, codexes and all that. Plus, we need that little Dingrit thing. I think they're water-based creatures. So we have another, not only Scrondrixes, but I think Dingrits. And we need the phosphate glass for that as well. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, phosphate glass. So, oh boy. So, we need crushed quartz. That's direct fed into the glass works here. This kicks out stone. Oh, and I guess I could put efficiencies in here as well. So it's such a trace amount of stone. I'm turning it into saline water and venting it. Here's the water thing here. I plan on it. I think this is going to be a part of you know, potentially science later on. So this is just a temporary build here just to get it up and running. I don't know if we'll have to scale it up later, but we'll see. Now, over here, I finally have an official build for the, what is this, sodium sulfate. I'll bring in sulfuric acid here, sodium hydroxide. I'm belting directly across here to this, you know, build here. And then this is the pickup for it, for the phosphate glass. Down here is the pickup for the sodium sulfate. I don't foresee needing a lot of this, but if I just need a quick build or just this little bit of this item, the sodium sulfate, at least I have it on the train network now. If the need comes where I need more of this, then I'll do a official build. But I still have to get sulfuric acid under control with the coal bed gas. But I'm pushing all that stuff over because I want to spin these creatures up so we can upgrade the base, and then I'll start worrying about other stuff. So let's get this thing moving. And there we go. We got the glass. All right, well, that's building up there. I added a stop here because I'm running out of room on these combinators. Holy crap. There's a lot of little bits and bobs that we need for this mod, obviously. Now, this, I suppose I could use this one here, because I have it set for, you know, 500, 350, and then, you know, this one's 200, I think. Yeah, 200 to 175. These are little, you know, really expensive items, or just stuff I don't need a lot of. So I set up this one here as an additional unloader. I've got this for my fuel and fish oil, you know, for the transmission or gearboxes and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and request the acrylic glass. Maybe I'll do it here. I misspoke. It's phosphate glass. I don't know why I got acrylic on my mind, because that icon for the acetylene, it reminds me of acrylic for some reason. I don't know why. So I'll go ahead and request it here. I have this machine set up already to for the bots to deliver the glass. And then we'll be on our way to getting a Scrondrix. Here's where I have them set up. So we got the breeding complex here. It requires meat, water barrel, tree seeds, and the fogway. I have everything but the tree seeds. I'll just make these here locally and just pop them right on in. I'll just request the meat. And then I'm thinking I'll just do a water barreling for the whole base. I can even do it right over here. I could just do a water barreling thing. I like to have it in a spot where I see it and I know it's there, so I don't forget about it though. So I'll think about a better spot. But for now, I'll do that. And then here's the pen. It's a little tiny sucker. We need meat and the cubs, which is going to be in the breeder complex here. I have the Yotoi leaves already in the base here, as I use those for the bedding for the Arthurian spin up, which I didn't go over. I did that off screen. And yeah, this should be fairly simple to spin up. Now, once we get the module, once I get enough of these, then I can spin up the rendering, and we'll go on. We'll build a a rendering site for this. Oh, we got them! Look at that! Aha! So I think I need 3 of these. So I'll grab 3. This combinator is getting out of control as well. I might have to do another loader actually for the animal stuff. The animal biolab, I call this, or biohub. There's a lot of stuff you need for these guys. So let's go ahead and request that. And then I'll set this up here. I think, I was like, what does I need? Oh, gosh. Oh, it's only 5. So, yeah, I'll hand ferry these because what happens is the bots bring all these materials. It buffers up in these machines, and it ties up all these science packs in these machines. So I'm going to hand deliver them. So I need 30. I'll spin these up, and then we'll get to the creature spin up. Well, folks, I was about to spin up our first couple Scrondrixes. What the heck? Scrondrix. And I look at the recipe. Great alien sample. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I looked beyond that. I was so excited to, move forward with these things. But all is not lost, okay? The great alien sample is here, and it needs a poor alien, this is weird. Poor alien and a good alien sample, glassware, chitin, biosample, DNA polymers, primers, Arthurian egg, formaldehyde, and I'm skipping the graphene roll, which I don't have. I have everything but the Arthurian egg. Now, I have the Arthurian eggs in this area here, the DNA or bio hub or whatever. I can make this. Now, the question is, do I want to make this? I need 15 to get the Scrondrixes. Now, what's good about this is the PyScience Pack 3 requires them. So I'm tempted to just set this up and get the great alien sample on a train network, because we're going to need it anyway. And then this Dilmo, which I want to spin up, I think we're going to need this. It's like a host to another creature or something. I can't remember exactly. And we're going to need the great alien sample to spin these up too. And I want to get all the creatures spun up so we have them available for, progressing. I don't mind doing the great alien sample. Let me show you the graphene. This is getting crazy over here. Now, I was looking at these here, a big phosphate mine, and it requires graphene rolls. I have everything but the graphene, and I can spin up a majority of these new miners. I unlocked these, I think, with chemical science. So it's just a matter of time to, getting around to this. Here's the graphene roll. Now, I have the biofilm already and the phosphoric acid. So we need the graphene sheet now. That's here. And now we need all these goofy things. I have the two fluids, sulfuric acid and the etching solution. I don't have the nickel core or the PDMS. Here's the nickel core. And I have everything here too. Methane is not on the train network, but it's very simple to make. I might just make that and train it now. Pure sand is easy to do. I have nickel plate and hydrogen, of course. Here's the PDMS. I have hydrogen chloride, water is easy. The dimethyl chlorosaline is another item that's new. And it's in this machine in a fluidized bed reactor. Silicon is pretty simple. I think it's sand and coal dust. Copper grade 4, I'd have to cut a train in at my copper build to scoop some up. And then we have chloromethane. And it's methanol and hydrogen chloride. I have both of these on the train network. So I can make this as well. So basically everything here is obtainable. And I suppose I could just set this up and then we'll get their Scrondrixes going. But you can see the process here that I'm going to have to go through. So it's going to be a couple hours before I cut back in and show the finished product, which will be the great alien sample right here. Now, what's great is this takes speed and prod. And there we go. So, yeah, I have everything but the graphene roll. And it's pretty straightforward. It's not really a crazy process. It's just getting it all together and training everything in. So, true to pYanodons form, I'll get to work. And there we have it, folks. Graphene rolls. Woohoo! So now it's on to the great alien sample. Great alien samples, folks. We finally did it. So while this spins up here and I get enough material, whoo, oh my gosh, look at this graphene roll getting chewed up. This thing's a nightmare. Holy cow. I have 8 gases and fluids here. Amazing. Oh, I did tap the grade 4 copper. And let me showcase that real quick. Oh, there's a train there. As if I didn't need enough spaghetti here. I am kind of hungry, though. So I cut in this train right here. And I'm bringing in... Here's the grade 4 copper. I did some, rearranging of belts a little bit. And underground my fuel line and for the oxygen furnaces. And just cut this, belt right in here. I like the red undergrounds because you get, it's huge. A huge amount of distance. So I prefer to use those in this case. And there's the pickup there. So I like these builds, and I don't like these because there's so much going on. The tricky part about pipes is you only have usually one hitbox. That's it. Whereas with belts and inserters, you have the entire machine. You can surround it with as many belts and, inserters that you want. So you're kind of stuck with one opportunity. And that's what makes these builds tougher when you got a lot of fluids and gases. This is not supposed to run, 100%. And what's nice is I'll be able to spin up, like I said, those new mining machines. I'm really excited for those. And finally, I can make a Scrondrix. What's interesting is you can put productivity in this machine. I don't know why, but I'm only making 3. So I think I'll put speed in here. All right, I got a little Scrondrix here. Let's go ahead and put it in the machine here. And that will start to generate the cubs. When I get... I probably could have gotten away with 1 or 2 Scrondrixes. I made 3. That's okay. This machine is pretty fast, though. And now we'll make Scrondrixes from our little cubby guys there. All right, check it out. I love the graphics of these, machines here. And it looks like we have... You know what? It's like a dinosaur time. I think these are like little dinosaur, little lizards or, kind of like small dinosaurs, if you will. And yeah, they're hanging out. They got different color heads. I love it. Oh, that's so cute. They got little babies, I think, running around there too. Oh yeah, so we have a mature one over here. Really big Scrondrix. And then we have some here with different color heads. Looks like these are youngins over here maybe, and over here. So, oh, maybe this is mommy, daddy. I don't know. Pretty cool. Well, we finally got the Scrondrixes. And I think we'll end the episode here. We'll carry on with the Arqad chain next episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.